You may have seen our next guest. It's actor Boris Kodjoe. He's in Real Husbands of Hollywood. Remember the Showtime series Soul Food? You also were in Love and Basketball, Brown Sugar. The list goes on and on, but you also know your sports.
Oh,
we were sitting here talking to him about tennis, because you played tennis in college. You trained with Boris Becker. And then we're talking about basketball. We want to get your thoughts on the series.
Oh, I thought it was the best series I've ever been a part of in terms of just watching. Wow. The excitement was unbelievable. But one thing that nobody's mentioned before was the irony of the matter that I think Miami, the team Miami is only the team it is now because it was sort of modeled after a team like the Spurs. A team that consists of players that are unselfish, of a superstar that makes others around them better. The demeanor that they have, not just on the court, but off the court, also has influenced the development of the players like LeBron, like Dwayne Wade, like Chris Bosh. So I think it's ironic that those teams meet in the finals. And of course, it's a huge heartbreak for the Spurs.
Yeah, I agree with you with the team in terms of unselfishness or what have you. But Miami's clearly Hollywood. I mean, I don't see anything Hollywood about the Spurs. When I think about LeBron, D. Wade, and those boys, particularly the first couple of years in South Beach, I mean, they're focused. They're going to do whatever it takes to win. But they're definitely a little Hollywood.
But think about how they've influenced not just sports, but also their community. And
I agree with that.
How young kids relate to them now. The way they speak to you guys, the way they articulate, the way they carry themselves is a whole new type of superstar. 10 years ago, superstars didn't act like that.
Right. You think the Spurs, you were, of course, born in Vienna, so you came to this country, had to learn to speak English. They have such a foreign factor on their roster. Do you think it was harder for that team to connect with the American fans outside of San Antonio? Do you think they won some respect and popularity by hanging in with the biggest three? You know what,
I think that the game of basketball has transcended the borders, and I think that it's such a global and universal game now with millions and millions of fans worldwide, that the Spurs are a team, just like the Dallas Mavericks used to be, that appeal to the masses like that. Not just America, but worldwide. So I think that the Spurs are a great team, not just for the league, but basketball universally.
Take me back to what you alluded to specifically when you were talking about these guys, the way they carry themselves, the things that they say, how they conduct themselves, et cetera, how it's influencing a generation of youngsters out there. Specifically, what are you alluding to? Because I imagine it's a very, very positive thing you're saying.
Tim Duncan, superstar, undoubtedly one of the best ever. Never any drama off the court. The way he articulates, the way he relates to other people, respectful. He's somebody that young kids can look up to without having to compromise their own principles and values. He's a guy that you can bring home to your mother. He's a guy who performs on the court as well as off the court, in that he uplifts people, he empowers people around him, and I think it's a new sort of brand of superstar that's not egotistic, that's not arrogant, but he's just calm and confident.
Well, if you feel that way about him, how do you feel about a Dwayne Wade or LeBron James?
Same exact way. I think LeBron has really developed into a young man who is a great part of the brand of the NBA. He's the guy that people look up to. When they talk about the NBA, they talk about LeBron James, and there's nothing we have to be ashamed of. He is a guy that young kids can look up to. He's a guy who uplifts his community, who helps out wherever he can. He's a father, same as Dwayne Wade. And we need more of those kind of role models in positions of great platforms and people with a great voice, because there's so many other people with great influence who don't embrace that responsibility. They abuse it. They're too busy popping bottles than to relate to young people.
Well, let's talk about LeBron James on the court. You know that he always is often criticized for whatever reasons. There's this often running joke of blame LeBron. What do you think in terms of basketball? What does this title mean for him? Did he silence the critics completely?
I think somebody in a position like LeBron James will never silence the critics, because it's their job to criticize him. He is the guy in the middle. He demands the attention. He wants that responsibility. That kind of caliber of person comes with perks, but also with a huge mountain of responsibility, just like Serena Williams, just like Tiger Woods. So the critics will never be silent. I am happy for him that he won, because if he had lost in Game 6 after
it would have been bad, man.
Yeah.
After having 2 or 3 turnovers in the last minute, it would have been terrible. It would have been terrible for him. So I'm glad for him. But no, he will never silence the critics, because that's their job.
That's their job, and that's just who he
You're right.
is.
Ray Allen's shot did help save some of LeBron's legacy.
100%.
Because
100%.
You're right. It would have been a rough spot for LeBron.
And not to take credit away from LeBron and how he played in the beginning of the fourth quarter in Game 6, as well as yesterday, he played incredibly well. But it would have been much harder for him to sort of dig his way out of that in the future.
So how impressed were you with his Game 7?
I was amazingly impressed, because he learned from Game 6. When they backed off of him and dared him to shoot in Game 6, he knew what he had to do in Game 7, which he did. I mean, he absolutely stepped up to the plate. He buried those jumpers. He was not afraid. When he was hesitant at first in the first 5-6 games, he stepped up with confidence. He knocked down those threes and knocked down those jumpers, and that's why they won.
Not that easy to do under that kind of pressure.
I'm looking at LeBron right now, and I'm thinking about the jump shot. I'm thinking about the elevation of confidence. I'm thinking about the totality, the completeness of his game. And I'm saying to myself, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. Suddenly, it's plausible. Suddenly, because again, it's not just about Miami. This is a guy that can opt out. Puts pressure on Miami to continue to retool, puts pressure on other teams who may want him to sit there and buffer their squad, and he can pick and choose. It's not like he's going to pick to go, you know, to a team that's moribund and living in basketball purgatory. He's going to choose to go to a viable situation where he can legitimately compete for a championship, whether it's staying in Miami or going elsewhere. So suddenly, in my mind, it's plausible that there are multiple championships on the horizon. To that you say what?
Absolutely. I think the operative word is continuing to retool. And he's got Pat Riley in his corner, who is the ultimate architect in retooling teams. I think that he will stay in Miami, and I think that in the near future we will see the Miami Heat changing. The roster will change. It will develop further. They will piece it together from year to year, depending on what LeBron needs around him. Like a big man in the middle, I think. I think somebody like a Roy Hibbert would be a great addition to
Roy, though.
They're not going to get him, but somebody like him, somebody who like muscle, somebody who's sound fundamentally sound, somebody like a Hakeem Olajuwon.
You don't get that every day.
Well,
ain't none of those.
Unfortunately, that's true.
Boris, let's turn it to you and your endeavors, what you're doing. From my understanding, you have a film coming out, Baggage Claim. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
It's a romantic comedy called Baggage Claim, starring the beautiful Paula Patton,
not bad to look at.
as well as Taye Diggs and Derek Luke and myself, Jaimin Hunsu.
Oh,
Trey Songz.
I'm in. I got my ticket already. Yeah.
And it's about a young lady who's a flight attendant, trying to get settled and find her love, find her soulmate. Okay. So she travels 1,000,000 miles to find that special someone.
Do you win out in the end? Can you tell us that?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
It's top secret.
Okay.
Yeah. But what do you think?
I'm going to say yeah, because you're sitting here. Yeah, September 27th, folks. That's Baggage Claim. It comes out.
I like the swag.
Much.
I like the confidence. You're going to try to go after
Boris Kodjoe is leaving the desk.